Hey, Adam here. I'm traveling, so not the normal video. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about my favorite Wikipedia page. I know, super nerdy. But my favorite page, I think, is the list of common misconceptions. I'll give you a sampling of some things from that page. The reason I say I think it's my favorite is because there's another page called List of Helicopter Prison Escapes, and that's just too epic to not be somewhere near the top of my list. But common misconceptions. This page is great because it includes a lot of things that we would never really think about. They're things that a lot of people just assume are true without really evaluating. And as soon as you read them, it's like, oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. So, for example, the first one, there is gravity in space for the people like orbiting the planet or for satellites orbiting the planet. They do experience Earth's gravity. We often think that there's no gravity in space, and that's why astronauts float around on the space station. But they float around not because there is zero gravity, but because they're essentially in free fall. They're orbiting the planet. It's gravity that keeps them orbiting the planet. If there was no gravity, they would just fly off into space. So, yes, there is gravity for the astronauts in orbit. They're just falling constantly. Another one, it's commonly believed that life expectancy in the medieval times was like 30 some odd years. But the reason that's a misconception is because a lot of people believe that you would live to be 30 and die. But the truth is that's life expectancy at birth, meaning an infant was expected on average to make it to their 30s. But because infant mortality was so high, the reality is if you lived to be 21 years old, then your life expectancy at that point was usually about 64 years. So most people who made it to adulthood, in fact, did live a reasonably long life. It's just that infant mortality was so high then that it actually brought the overall average down to the 30s. And then one more, and this one I love because I actually heard it when I was a student in school, and I actually believed this for a long time. We hear about this Roman word, the vomitorium, and the story I heard was that Romans would eat so much food that they couldn't eat anymore, and then they would go into this special place called the vomitorium and throw up so that they could eat more food. And that's just not true. The vomitorium comes from the Latin word vomit, which means kind of to leave or to exit. And it just refers to, like, essentially the exit hallways that would let huge crowds leave a coliseum at the same time. So it's just like an exit. It has nothing to do with throwing up. It has nothing to do with food. Anyway, so if you enjoyed this, there are many, many more to read about on the Wikipedia page, List of Common Misconceptions. Happy Wednesday.